My name is Emily Carter, I'm 27, and I live in Austin, Texas. When I tell people this story, they always think I'm about to launch into some wild, chaotic tale. But this isn't one of those stories. This is about kindness, trust, and one of the most unexpectedly magical nights of my life. And it all started with a guy I met online. It was a rainy Tuesday night in early March. I was curled up on my couch with my laptop open, halfway through my second mug of peppermint tea. I wasn't exactly looking for anything serious. I had joined a local community app mostly to find events, meet like-minded people, and maybe make a few new friends in Austin. That's when I saw a message pop up from someone named Ryan Mitchell. His profile picture was him standing at the top of Mount Bunnell, wearing a flannel shirt and grinning like he had just won the lottery. "Hey Emily," the message read. "Saw you're into photography and live music. I'm putting together something cool Friday night. It's a bit of a surprise. Wanna join?" Now normally, I'm not the type to say yes to vague invitations from strangers. But Ryan's profile didn't feel like a stranger's. He had a handful of photos of community volunteering events, his dog, a golden retriever named Sunny, and a few posts recommending local coffee shops. Still, I typed back cautiously, "Depends. Is this the kind of surprise where I end up on the news?" He replied almost instantly, "Haha, no. Unless the news starts covering most wholesome night ever stories." For the next 2 days, we exchanged short but warm messages. He never pushed for personal details, never made anything weird. It was all about this Friday night surprise. All he told me was to dress comfortably and bring my camera. When Friday came, I almost bailed. You know that voice in your head that says, "What are you doing?" But there was another voice, the one that had been nagging me for months, telling me I'd been playing life too safe lately. At exactly 6 p.m., a silver pickup truck pulled up outside my apartment. I peeked through the blinds, saw Ryan step out, and for the first time, the profile picture had a living, breathing counterpart. He waved. I waved back, grabbed my camera bag, and stepped out into the cool March air. The moment I got in, I noticed his truck smelled faintly of cedar wood and coffee. Sunny, his golden retriever, was riding shotgun but instantly hopped into the back seat to make room for me. "Okay," Ryan said, putting the truck in drive. "You trust me?" I laughed nervously. "We're about to find out." For the next 30 minutes, we drove out of the city. Austin's skyline faded behind us, replaced by rolling hills and winding roads. He played a playlist of acoustic covers, and we talked about everything from our favorite breakfast foods to the weirdest things we'd ever photographed. At one point, I noticed a big canvas bag in the back filled with what looked like blankets and jars. But I didn't ask. I wanted the surprise. We pulled into a small roadside market. Ryan grabbed 2 hot chocolates and a paper bag of fresh cinnamon sugar donuts. "You're going to need energy," he said with a smile. The hot chocolate was the kind that leaves whipped cream on your nose. The donuts were still warm, soft on the inside, perfectly crisp on the outside. We sat on a bench outside the market, sipping and munching while the sun dipped lower in the sky. It was nice. No rush. No agenda. Just a moment. About 15 minutes later, we turned onto a gravel road. Trees arched overhead, the evening light filtering through like stained glass. The road ended at the base of a hill with a narrow trail leading up. "This is where the real surprise starts," Ryan said, grabbing the canvas bag from the truck. The hike wasn't long, but it was steep. By the time we reached the top, the view took my breath away. And not just because I was catching it from the climb. Below us stretched miles of Texas hill country, the horizon painted in streaks of orange, pink, and gold. Ryan spread out a thick quilt, set down 2 lanterns, and unpacked the jars from the bag. Inside each was a small bouquet of wildflowers in water, arranged in mismatched glass jars like something from a vintage picnic scene. Then he pulled out 2 mason jars filled with iced tea, a box of homemade sandwiches, and to my shock, a small portable speaker. "You made all this?" I asked. He nodded. "Well, Sunny helped supervise." We sat on that quilt, sipping tea, eating sandwiches, and watching the sun slowly sink into the horizon. The air was cool but gentle, the kind of evening where the breeze feels like it's carrying stories from miles away. At one point, Ryan pulled out a small Polaroid camera. "Trade you," he said, handing it to me and gesturing for my DSLR. For the next half hour, we took photos of each other, of Sunny, of the wildflowers, and of the view. It wasn't about perfect shots. It was about the moments between the clicks. When darkness began to settle, Ryan reached into the bag one last time and pulled out a set of paper lanterns. "Ever done this before?" he asked. I shook my head. We lit the small fuel pads inside each lantern, holding them until they were ready to lift. One by one, they floated up into the night, glowing softly against the deep blue sky. "Each one's for something good," Ryan said quietly. "A wish. A thank you. A memory." We didn't talk much after that. We didn't need to. Watching those lanterns drift higher felt like we were sending a little piece of hope into the world. The drive back into the city was calm. The windows were cracked, letting in the cool night air. Sunny dozed in the back, my camera bag on the seat beside me filled with new photos and the lingering scent of wildflowers. When Ryan dropped me off, he didn't say anything like, "Let's do this again," or "I had a great time." He just smiled and said, "Glad you came tonight, Emily." That night, I sat on my couch scrolling through the photos. Every shot seemed to hold a piece of the evening's magic. The lanterns, the quilt, the wildflowers, the way the sunset made everything glow. I realized something important. The best surprises aren't about extravagance or money. They're about thoughtfulness. About someone taking the time to create a space where you feel present, appreciated, and alive. Ryan and I stayed friends. We still meet for coffee, sometimes go to local concerts. Maybe it'll turn into something more, maybe not. But even if it never does, that night will always be one of my favorite memories. Because it reminded me that the world is still full of good people. And that sometimes, saying yes to a leap of faith can lead to the most amazing nights. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, and you've been playing life a little too safe lately, this is your sign. Go. Say yes. See where it leads.